I've got to start with a little story most of us in the small business and home lab world know too well. You see a cheap off-the-shelf UPS on a clearance rack, you think you've saved a few $100, you plug it in, and 2 weeks later the power flickers during a critical backup and the unit just shuts down. The regret hits hard because you've just lost unsaved work, maybe even a client's data. That's the kind of buyer's remorse that makes people hesitate when they're looking at a big-ticket UPS. The question I'm trying to answer today is whether the APC Smart UPS 2200 VA lithium-ion model actually feels like a smarter buy, or if it's just another expensive promise that could leave you scrambling when the lights go out. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about why a UPS in this range matters. At 2200 VA/1920W, you're not just protecting a single desktop, you're looking at a rack-mount unit that can keep a modest server stack, a network switch, and a couple of workstations online for a decent amount of time. The real decision point isn't the size of the battery on paper, it's how the lithium-ion cells perform in the field compared with the older lead-acid packs that most budget units still use. Lithium packs are lighter, they charge faster, and they generally have a longer cycle life, which translates into fewer replacements over the life of the UPS. For a small data center or a professional home studio that can't afford a full-time electrician, those hidden savings become a real part of the value proposition. Who should actually consider this unit? If you're running a 2U rack configuration, whether it's a couple of hypervisors, a NAS, a VoIP PBX, or a set of high-end workstations that need uninterrupted power, the APC Smart UPS 2200 VA fits nicely. The unit's short depth footprint means it won't eat up too much vertical rack space, which is a blessing when every inch counts. The built-in network management card, plus the APC SmartConnect capability, makes remote monitoring a breeze. You can set up email alerts, SNMP traps, or even integrate it into a larger data center monitoring suite without adding extra hardware. That's something a lot of cheap alternatives simply don't provide. You get a single-point UPS that stays silent unless something goes wrong, but you have no way to see the health of your power assets before the failure hits. On the flip side, if you're a homeowner who only needs to keep a single desktop and maybe a Wi-Fi router alive for a few minutes, this UPS is overkill. You'll be paying for a rack mount form factor you'll never mount, and the network card becomes a feature you'll never use. In those cases, a smaller, wall-mounted UPS with a traditional lead-acid battery could meet the need at a fraction of the price. Also, the unit does require proper grounding and a dedicated rack space, so it isn't a plug-and-play solution for a casual user. Now, let's dig into the practical strengths. The first thing most people notice when they power the unit up is the pure sine wave output. That's not just a marketing buzzword, it matters if you're feeding equipment that has active power factor correction, such as modern servers, storage arrays, or high-end audio interfaces. Those devices can be finicky on modified sine wave, sometimes reacting with increased heat or erratic fan behavior. In my testing, the pure sine wave kept all the connected gear humming along without any audible whining or spiking, which is a relief when you have sensitive hardware that could get damaged by a bad waveform. Another real-world win is the LCD console. It's not a high-resolution touchscreen, but it gives you a quick glance at input voltage, battery health, load percentage, and estimated runtime. The menu hierarchy is intuitive enough that you can adjust alarm thresholds or initiate a self-test in a few button presses, even if you're not a seasoned IT admin. The fact that the console is built right into the front panel means you don't have to pull a laptop over to the rack just to see whether you're at 80% capacity or if the battery is due for a cycle test. The built-in network management card is a quiet hero. Once you plug the Ethernet cable in and enable the SmartConnect service, the unit shows up in APC's management software, where you can pull detailed logs, see voltage fluctuations over the past week, and even schedule automatic shutdowns of the attached devices during a prolonged outage. For anyone who runs a small server farm or a recording studio, that remote control can prevent data corruption. You can script a graceful shutdown of all attached servers before the UPS battery depletes completely. That level of automation is rarely found on cheaper models, where you'd be stuck manually pulling the power cord or watching the UPS blink red in the dark. However, the unit isn't without practical weaknesses. The first is the price. Even before any discounts, you're looking at a three-figure investment, and that can be